Come on, Chris, show me what you got.
Control those vehicles.
Come on, GK, you can do this.
Something's wrong.
Stay behind, JK.
No way I'm gonna let that happen.
This guy is quick. We have to change strategy, guys. I can't get away from him.
Oh, hi, Dutchie. Bye, Dutchie.
3 laps to go. There was some nice splits. Coming on 342 and
Try hard again.
Okay, that was beaten. One more to go. Chris, I'm coming for you.
Well, it looks like someone's had their breakfast. Let's see what you got, JK.
this is it. Final lap.
Onion. Commit. Commit.
Yeah, you came to drive, Stretch!
Here we go, MSC. Last lap. Come on.
Come on, 2 more corners.
No! 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 Come on, John.
I cannot get this guy off my tail.
Chris, you won't. You won't.
Come on, man. Do it, baby. Come on. Yes, come on.
Woo! That was awesome. Definitely need to do that again.
In that Aston Martin that we saw a few moments ago. As the clock hits the hour, 30 seconds left in the free practice session before we get ready for qualifying. 20-minute qualifying, 1 hour race time, and qualifying starts what would be 5 PM local time. The race starts at 11 PM, so we're going to do GT3 racing in the pitch black at Spa. This is the kind of stuff that dreams are made of. Of course, just a reminder on just how good these cars sound. This is the moment we're hearing the engine in Smalley's Porsche 991 as he goes through La Source downhill toward Eau Rouge and Radillon. And there is the checkered flag waving now. PhoenixGray in the Twitch chat saying hello, hello PhoenixGray. And I say champion elect, I believe, once more in your Porsche 992. So you see it from the top down, the 91 label, the 91 numbered car. As it is just the 323 of Ford out on track in the McLaren 720S. Very nice white, black and gold livery. Very clean, very elegant, I have to say. Comes in to end his final lap before qualifying. You can see there some early provisional times based off the practice session. But we have a green light now for qualifying. We have 9 cars in the pit lane, and we have plenty of fun to go, and I hear cars already moving down pit lane. The first car out, Red Baron in the McLaren 720S. It's Scarlet in a maroon red McLaren that does indeed look very good in the number 7 there. Also rolling down pit lane, the Dutchie in the Lexus. Lev there in the ever aggressive V8 Aston Vantage. There's Mirko in another McLaren 720S. 4 McLarens currently in the lobby so far, all of them the 720S GT3s, which do just sound fantastic. We'll ride on board, or we'll use the chase cam a little bit for Red Baron just to let you hear just how good this car sounds. Just trying to hide the racing line. There you go. Clean up the screen a little bit more. And as we follow Red Baron up toward Blanchimont, you hear that V8 roaring away. There's JK now out on track in the 992 Porsche. There's PhoenixGray in the other 992. As Red Baron across the start-finish line to start his first qualifying lap here in the season finale, down toward La Source. In the McLaren, use as much of the exit curbing as you dare. Don't hook the tyres over the sausage curb, and now it's flat out all the way down to the most famous corners in motorsport, Eau Rouge and Radion. Up to the top of the hill we go. A little bit of a lift there based off the throttle graphic, and Red Baron up to the top of the hill onto the Kemmel Straight now, and flooring it up to Les Combes. We'll see a first sector split go over the line. No, we don't see a first sector split. That's mildly annoying. That's through Les Combes now. And now downhill toward the turn 8 hairpin. Turn 8 and 9, I always forget the names of, but then it's a little short burst down toward Pouhon. And you come in toward then the second half of the lap for Red Baron. Now through the Fagny chicane, and it's then going to be Campus and Stavelot into the final third of the lap for Red Baron. It's been a very clean lap so far, plenty of track around him. 45 seconds to the nearest car in front, it's 15 seconds to the car behind. And Red Baron now can really open up the taps of the McLaren again. Up toward Blanchimont we go. And now it's just the almighty bus stop chicane. Hard onto the brakes, down to the first gear. Trust the car's going to turn in against the camber, and then let the car run out wide. Stay right for the shortest run to the line. And Red Baron over the line, 2 minutes 20.4, the fastest lap so far. Who's going to be first on the block to beat it? It's going to be the Aston Martin of Lev coming into the final couple of corners now. 2 minute 20, the time to beat for Lev, and he's across the line. It's a 2:23.1, slots into P2 for the moment. Up to the line now goes the Dutchie, who goes on a 2:21.1. Merkel on the run to the line. 2:18.6 goes fastest of anyone so far by nearly 2 seconds. JK's on a lap just coming through Stavolo now, so it won't be long before JK finishes that lap. PhoenixGray on the run to the line. 2:23.1 goes P4. We'll be looking to improve in the number 91 Porsche. There's a 2:22 there for Daddy Cool in the McLaren 7 in the 720 numbered McLaren. As we wait to see now JK in that gold 992 on the run to the line. JK, where can he get that Porsche? 2:21.7 to P7 for JK. I believe the slowest yet of anyone that is so far. Also coming to the end of the lap, Forder and Smalley. Smalley in the only 991. 2:25.1 for Smalley. Forder now on the run to the line in the other McLaren. 2:19.6 goes up to P2, the second car into the 2:19s. So we'll have a look at the timing standings as we look. No lap time yet from JK, so that lap was invalidated, but valid lap times from everyone else so far. Mirko nearly a full second quicker than Forder. Red Baron then on a 2:20, a further 8 tenths up the road. And then you have the Dutchie on a 21.1. Daddy Cool 22.1. PhoenixGray and Lev separated by only 0.02 of a second. 23.147 versus 23.167. And then Smalley on that 25.170. Slowest yet of anyone so far. Of course, we're yet to see a representative lap time from Smalley in the number 21. He's just going through Pouon, as you can see there on the track map, as Lev and the Dutchie come back to the bus stop chicane to finish their new respective laps. Lev 23.4, the Dutchie to P3 on a 2:20.148. So I look to find JK coming through Stavolo, not showing green at the moment there on that timing differential, plus 1.2 seconds, as JK still has a couple of corners to go to set his first representative lap time of the day. As up through Blanchimont comes the Porsche. Hard onto the brakes, down to first gear. And squeeze the throttle out, stay to the right hand side. JK to the line. Found some time in that final sector. 2:20.9 goes up to P5 provisionally. But who else is on a good lap? Red Baron's only a 1/10.5 up on his slowest lap, on his best lap time so far. Finds himself in P4 on that 2:20.4. JK, as we see, going faster already. PhoenixGray's also improving, has found half a second through the first sector and a bit as he now heads down toward Bruxelles. The Dutchie's finding time as well, a couple of tenths as he goes through Pouon on that 2:20.1. Smalley's finding time out of La Source on the start of a new flying lap. Whoa, and Daddy Cool there going through Blanchimont, a little bit too much curb, spins it round, has a few seconds back to Red Baron. There is Red Baron now coming down the track, going a little bit wide there was Red Baron, who now heads in toward the bus stop chicane, is right on the delta time of his previous personal best. Needs a good exit from the bus stop chicane, gets a good exit from the bus stop and on the run to the line. Red Baron improves by 0.5 of a second, but it was invalidated because he ran out wide at Blanchimont, so he'll have to go around again to improve that lap time. Still got 10 minutes to go in this qualifying session. JK finding time provisionally. So too is PhoenixGray, as he has just the Blanchimont and bus stop to go. Smalley finding plenty of time there. I want to find PhoenixGray as he comes up toward the bus stop chicane now. 0.5 tenth to the good on his previous personal best on that 21.8. But we know just how good a good exit from the bus stop chicane, how important that is for the last few tenths on the run to the line. PhoenixGray doesn't improve according to that last registered lap time. JK though looking good so far, runs out wide through Blanchimont. That's going to invalidate the lap. That's a shame for JK. Was looking like he was on for an improvement. Mirko's back in the pits. Forder's finding a little bit of time so far. Don't have a delta for Daddy Cool. Lev also looking to find some time in that V8 Vantage. That does just look so aggressive in that all matte black and the red stripe. It does just look like an angry beast of a car. So we see a number of cars back in the pits, returning to a garage, getting a new set of tyres on, a little bit more fuel, and away they go. Forder seemingly on an outlap. So too Daddy Cool. As JK comes back out onto the track in the gold 992. Of course, one of the things about the Spa-Francorchamps circuit, the game obviously rendered to have the full 24 hours of Spa pit lane, so it is an incredibly long pit lane, with the Grand Prix pit lane starting at the entry to the second part of the bus stop chicane, where you can just see Forder and Daddy Cool going through now. Looks like Forder and Daddy Cool might have not Forder, that was Forder and Red. No, who was it? Two cars down there at the bus stop though, having a bit of an issue, but you do stay in the pit lane from the bus stop all the way down to where the pit garages are for our drivers just going into Eau Rouge and Radion, so expect big loss of time during pit lane moments as Red Baron starts a new lap in the number 7 McLaren. Currently finds himself P4 on that personal best of a 2:20.460. So you see PhoenixGray coming back to down pit lane. This is what I mean. This is the Grand Prix pit lane, as you'd know it from the Formula 1 games. He's got to hold this line at 50 kilometers an hour, 31 miles an hour, all the way down this part of the pit lane. Then he's got to take the pit exit at the source, and then carry on driving down toward Eau Rouge and Radion, all at pit limited speeds. As here we see Smalley going for a new lap in the 991 Fanatec Porsche. Goes through Lecom at the end of the Kemmel Straight, improving by a couple of tenths of a second so far is Smalley. Who else is on track and on a lap? Red Baron is, but has lost 6.5 tenths of a second through the first half of the lap. JK though finding times up 4.5 tenths of a second just by the time he gets onto the Kemmel Straight. JK seemingly turning up the engine in that 992 as he heads up to the first sector split, half a second to the good of that 2:20.9 lap time. That is his best so far. And now JK through Bruxelles, the far end of the circuit, starting the downhill run. Through the left-hander at turn 9, down now toward Pillon at turn 10. Just how good do these cars sound? There's 5.5 minutes still left in the qualifying session. Plenty of time still. It is a 2.5 minute lap as we're seeing, but with 5.5 minutes to go, you can still go out now and do a couple of laps before the checkered flag falls. It's JK now around campus and up towards Stavlo. 3/4 of a second improvement here from JK. Just needs a good final sector. Up through Blanchimont. 6th gear, 150 miles an hour. Flick it in to the left-hander. Looks like might have just tracked a little wide going into Blanchimont, and that might invalidate his lap time. JK now into the bus stop chicane. Gets the power down, squeezes the power, and on the run to the line, JK, yeah, it was indeed an invalidated lap. It would have been a 2:20.035. We've got a yellow flag somewhere on track. It's Red Baron out there on track. There is the Dutchie, the car behind, 3.5 seconds behind on track. And Red Baron flicks it through. Puon tracking very similar to his previous personal best, that 2:20.4 that he set at the start of the session. 4 minutes to go now in qualifying. PhoenixGray and Mirko, the only two cars in the pit. We're waiting right to the end of the session by the looks of it to go back out on track if they want to get one last flying run in. As Lev starts a new flying lap in that V8 Vantage, heads downhill toward Eau Rouge and Radion. Still Mirko and PhoenixGray sit in pit lane. Red Baron heads through the bus stop chicane meanwhile. 2/10 to the good. Can he improve? Does improve to a 2:20.397. Remains P4. JK on another lap time here. Also a second up on his previous personal best. Can he keep it inbounds in the last sector this time around? As up through Stavelot now. Here we go with JK. Running hard and fast, flicks it into Blanchimont. That does kind of start as a double left-hander, trying to take as much track as he can. Keeps it flat, keeps it pinned through Blanchimont. That's incredibly brave from JK. That must be a new set of tyres, because I doubt we'll see that in the race. As now hard onto the brakes, into the bus stop. Little double correction there from JK. Maybe got the line a little wrong. It might cost him a little bit of time on the run to the line. And JK crosses the line, 2:20.1, goes up to P3. Red Baron now dropped back down to P5. Mirko in the pits, happy on that 2:18.6. Fodder's on a lap at the moment, 2 minutes to go, so if you cross the line now, it will be your last flying lap. Fodder currently up by half a second through the first sector as he heads downhill toward Bruxelles. Daddy Cool's making a bit of a hash down there at the bus stop chicane. Gets back up to speed now. We'll have one last lap to go. Looking to improve on a 2:22.128. JK still finding time on this new lap of his. The Dutchie not currently finding time on this flying lap. 2:20.1 to beat. Currently 8/10 up. Has a minute to get back to the start-finish line to start a new lap. Should be able to, should the Lexus driver. It's up toward Blanchimont, the bus stop chicane, I should say, sorry. Comes the Dutchie. Just in front of the Dutchie is Smalley on track. And the Dutchie now over the start-finish line. 45 seconds left on the clock. Are we going to see anyone else across the line? Yes, we may just see Forder across the line, but Forder currently half a second up as he heads into the bus stop chicane. Nice late apex in that first part. A little bit of the sausage curb through the second part. Might slow him down a little bit on the run to the line, but Forder crosses and improves to a 2:19.2. Will have time to go around again as he hits the brake up toward La Source. And here comes JK now. JK will be the first to see the flag. 5 seconds to go. till the flag falls. JK, can he find a last gasp bit of time? Can he get himself into the 2:19s? JK floors it out of the final corner on the run to the line. 2:19.4. JK improves to P3. The Dutchie on a flying lap though as well, so too is Smalley. Forder's on that lap as well. So it is just the Dutchie, Smalley and Forder still out on track on flying laps. And Smalley having an issue there at Pillon has stopped and seemingly abandoned this lap. The Dutchie though still pushing on, still in the green to his previous personal best. Forder's gone back to the pits as well, so it is now just all on to the Dutchie. All eyes on the Lexus driver. Goes into campus, 4/10 up on his previous personal best. Losing time though through Stavlo, down to 2.5 tenths on the Delta time. And now floors that car all the way up toward Blanchimont now. Tiny little lift, keeps it inbounds though, just 3.5 tenths to the good. A good final bus stop chicane here, and he could still get himself into the 2:19s. Join JK in the party maybe. And now floors it out of the final part of the bus stop chicane on the run to the line. The Dutchie gets a 2:19 in just about, but it's not good enough to challenge P3. So there is the starting grid. Mirko from Forder, JK, the Dutchie, Red Baron, PhoenixGray, Daddy Cool, Lev and Smalley. And there you see the sector times. Red Baron looking very fast in that first sector. Fastest of anyone in fact, but loses a second to Mirko and Forder. Mirko then 6/10 clear of Forder in the final sector, 2/10 clear of anyone else. So Mirko in that 720 S GT3 Evo. Well, in fact it's a McLaren front row lockout from JK and the Dutchie. The third McLaren's there, P5 in front of PhoenixGray in the second 992 GT3R. And finally the fourth McLaren, driven by Daddy Cool, lines up P7 just in front of the V8 Vantage of Lev and the 991 of Smalley. 5 minutes to the race start. It is 11 o'clock here at night. I'll briefly open up that qualifying results page again. Still only 9 cars in the lobby, so it could be a quieter finale to the first season of the MSC GT3 Clubsport series on Assetto Corsa Competizione, and we were hoping for, but still an hour of racing to come. Hopefully some good action all the way through the Grand Prix as well. Three and a half minutes to go before green flag racing. As we wait, and the tension just begins to build. The drivers of course get one last chance to go away, go to the loo, do whatever they need to do race preparation wise. Good evening to anyone watching along at home. Please do say hello in the Twitch chat. It is always nice to see that I'm not alone or talking to myself. It's interesting hearing the interviews coming through over the top of the circuit's PA system. Of course, with an hour-long race, just as we're hearing over the kind of the conversation over the PA system in-game being how important is qualifying in a 24-hour race. How important is a 20-minute qualifying in an hour-long race where just any mistake could cost you heaps and bundles of time? And of course we have the long pit lane to contend with. So strategy going to be a key thing. When do you bank your pit stop? Everyone has to do at least one for fuel and tyre change, but when do you do it? When do you take that hit of what could be, at an estimate, maybe around a minute or so worth of a pit stop? That will be the question. As now just a minute, the 1 minute board gets hung out on top of the gantry over the driver's head. I'll also be interested to see are we going to do a full formation lap, and if so, and if not, are we just going to do a last corner formation lap, and where is it going to start? Is it going to start on the pit straight, or is it going to start on the GT starting straight, the GT pit straight down toward Eau Rouge? Now just 30 seconds to go before we get our cars racing away. There is the confirmation from the in-game race engineer.
20 seconds.
And now I can hear some engines starting. V8s, V6s, and maybe even a few V10s. So I somehow receive a little in-game award there, but sure. And away we go for the formation lap. And Mirko then leads the way. McLaren from Forder. Yeah. Then JK then in the gold 992. There's the Dutchie in the Lexus just behind in P4. P5 is Red Baron. P6 then PhoenixGray and the other 992, which you can tell apart from the McLarens. They do have those little cluster headlamps on the front, so you can tell them apart quickly at a glance. The 991 having much more rectangular, kind of boxy looking front headlights. McLaren's little double barrel job by the looks of it. And the Aston Martin, there it is. Two beams make up a combined headlamp. It's all kind of notes for me as well, just to remember which car is which, so I can tell them apart as they go flashing by in the night. As the field makes its way through the Lacombe sequence and down toward Bruxelles. You see there briefly on the back of the 76 Porsche driven by Smalley. A little almost, well, you can definitely see the flames, but you can see the glowing heat from the exhaust pipes as well. On the back of the car, there you see it. A little bit of a red glow from the tail lights as well. So there is the pole sitter driving the number 23 720S McLaren GT3 Evo. roll up through Pillon and up toward the Fania chicane. It's 9-car field making its way through nice and slowly. Looks like Mirko just turned off his lights there momentarily. Hopefully we'll be turning those back on. There we go. It is something you see in endurance racing. Are we going to see the flashing lights of cars looking to make overtakes? There you see Mirko giving us a little demonstration there. See it a lot in GT3, in endurance racing, and the hybrid cars, the prototypes, flashing the GT3s, letting them know we're coming past, or letting them know more often than not that you're there and you want to go past. As the grid now begins to reform as we head up toward Blanchimont. We're going to stay on board with Mirko on that pole position. So now through the final part of Blanchimont we go. The grid will start to reform in just a second for the rolling start. Mirko trying to do last little bit of tyre warm-up, turns the lights back on. And you see the cluster of cars all forming up. Mirko on the right hand side in the gold and black, Forder alongside in the white, gold and black. We are pulling alongside, we're 2 by 2, and for one final time in season 1 we are racing on ACC, as the start line isn't the Grand Prix start line, it is in fact going to be the GT3 start line. So a little bit of preemptive commentary from me there as we head up toward La Source. And we head down the hill toward Eau Rouge and Raidillon. And for one final time in season 1 of the Clubsport GT3 series, we will get pedal to the metal, and they wait and they hold.
Green light. Go, go, go.
And we go racing now, and it's a jump start 70 for the 76, speeding on the start. I believe that is Smalley, indeed it is. He's up one spot already, but will have to serve a drive through. And we are racing here in Spa-Francorchamps, and already Mirko has been jumped by one of the other McLarens. It's Forder then who takes the lead down the Kemmel Straight. Here comes one of the other McLarens. That's Red Baron and JK coming through down the Kemmel Straight, but it's a McLaren 1-2-3 as we hit the Les Combes chicane for the first time. And late on the brakes there goes Red Baron. He runs out wide, he's onto the grass, in fact, and into the barrier goes Red Baron. He's going to be dropping down the places. So it is Forder leading the way from Mirko and JK. The Dutchie then holds P4 in the Lexus PhoenixGray, just behind in the 992 Porsche. Forder's made us up a couple of spots in the V8 Vantage, up to P6. Daddy Cool down to P8. Smalley's then P9 and last after picking up that drive-through penalty off the starting line. And Forder now into Pouon, has the pole sitter just behind him. As we dance through the downhill left hand and down toward Fania chicane. Mirko popping out there to the right hand side, the inside line. Nothing doing there. So through Fania we go. 2 McLarens, a Porsche, a Lexus, and the second Porsche make up the top 5 as we roll our way down through campus and up towards Stavelot for the first time. Now with Smalley having that drive-through penalty will give us a good indication of just how long that pit lane penalty is. It's through Blanchimont we go now. The 2 McLarens beginning to make a little bit of a breakaway. JK 1.7 further back with the Dutchie a further second behind him, and Forder now onto the brakes into the bus stop chicane. Takes us through. To finish the first lap. There's Mirko. Red Baron then P6 after that earlier crash up at the top of Lake on. Smalley doesn't serve his drive-through penalty on this first lap. JK then, P3, has the Dutchie and PhoenixGray just behind. In fact, PhoenixGray only 0.3 of a second behind the Dutchie as we go up through Eau Rouge and Radion, and spinning out there is the Dutchie at the top of Radion in the worst place possible. Thankfully he gets it flicked back round, but hopefully he doesn't get collected by Smalley, who goes through in the 991. So the Dutchie from P4 to P9 at the start of the second lap gets the Lexus back up to racing speed, but that could have been so very dangerous indeed. As Forder leads Mirko downhill toward Bruxelles, 1.1 seconds the gap as he takes the right hand hairpin. Again, there you can see the tailpipes, the exhaust pipes of that McLaren glowing red hot as we come downhill toward Pouhon. Long left hand at double gosh, double left. The corner is also known as, and now we go into the Fania chicane. Red Baron still with PhoenixGray just behind Red Baron, back up to P4 after that incident for the Dutchie. Half a lap ago, and PhoenixGray there in the 992 Porsche. He's bringing along Lev in the V8 Vantage as well. So there is the Dutchie, despite that spin, not that far behind. Smalley goes through Campus and Stavolo there in P8. Does have that drive-through penalty to serve, as we remind you, but it is Forder leading the way from Mirko as we head toward the end of lap 2, up toward the bus stop chicane. And across the line, 2:20.1, beaten by 1/10 of a second by Mirko for the fastest lap so far. Through La Source we go. Mirko less than a second behind. Forder the leader. Smalley, I might have a feeling, is taking the drive-through penalty. Indeed he is. So he'll have to sit 50 kilometres an hour, 31 miles an hour, all the way down the Grand Prix pit lane. Which in and of itself is already reasonably long pit lane. Now he takes the inside line at La Source. This must feel like absolute torture for Smalley, just a little bit too early on the power. Now I have to do the GT pit lane as well. Already lost 30 seconds or so. He only now just gets into the start of the GT pit lane. Still has to get all the way down here to Eau Rouge and Radion. Where he will be able to get his foot down. 3, 2, 1, foot back down. Although picks up a 30-second stop and go penalty for Smalley too early on the pit lane release limiter, and it's gone from bad to worse as he gets back underway. It is indeed about a minute that he's lost, or a minute and a half, or maybe he is lost in that pit lane, but it is still Forder leading the way from Mirko. Only 0.4 of a second cover the two McLarens. JK holding P3 has a bit of a gap back to Red Baron and PhoenixGray as the leaders make their way into the bus stop chicane. And it is power down now to finish lap 3, start lap 4, 7 minutes into the Grand Prix. And a new purple lap for Mirko, a 2:19.8, and he's already challenging Forder, looking to the high outside line of La Source. Nothing going there, but can he shape a move now in the slipstream down toward Eau Rouge and Radion? The two McLarens separated by a car length or so. A couple of car lengths or so. And up the hill you can see the sparks coming off the floor pad, and Mirko there having to take avoiding action, gets it a bit wrong through Eau Rouge and Radion, but that might actually help him now. Down the front straightaway, toward Les Combes. Again having to go the long way round, too far back to do it on the brakes. Can he start the switcheroo through the first two parts of the chicane, now through the final part. Now down toward Bruxelles. He's much closer this time around. Mirko having a look, sticking his nose in to the left-hand door panel of Forda, but he's just not quite got the grip or the drive that he needs to have a go around the outside of Bruxelles. And down now toward Pouhon we go. The two leaders separated by nothing. Red Baron 3.5 off the back of JK. Still has PhoenixGray just 1.4 behind. PhoenixGray won't be too upset by that if he can keep marching his way slowly forward. The Dutchie 4.5 seconds off the back of Daddy Cool, who's he's very close to the back of Lev for P6 in the Aston. Smalley now back to the pit lane to serve. The stop and go 30-second stop go penalty that he picked up for speeding in the pit lane on his drive through last time around. Forda though, they see Mirko a bit wide again there through the exit of Stavelot. But Forda still leading the way as the two McLarens make their way up toward Blanchimont. And now toward the bus stop chicane. There we go, it's a proper challenge for the lead this time. Mirko having a look up the inside. Forda later on the brakes, able to very easily see that one coming. Smalley still yet to even make his pit garage to serve the pit stop. The 30-second stop go penalty. As the leaders come down out of La Source. And there we go, Smalley the first car to go a lap down. Two McLarens up through Eau Rouge and Radion. Mirko keeping it inbounds this time, and he is closer this time down the back straightaway. Having to look to the outside line. Going to be wheel to wheel as they hit the brakes into Les Combes. Mirko unable to really challenge, but they're going to try and do the old switcheroo. Can't quite get the drive through the second part of the Les Combes chicane. But Forda runs out wide now, down toward Bruxelles, but just has the McLaren far enough in front. The 323 holds off the 23. Smalley serves the 30-second stop and go, but is now a full racing lap down on the Dutchie. Although the Dutchie there has stopped at the Eau Rouge Radion sector. Double wave yellows down there. It's a dangerous point to stop. I hope he's not stuck. As Smalley gets back up to racing speed. Daddy Cool sticking to the back of Lev. That's a battle brewing there for P6, but the battle for the lead still very much on here. Although Mirko, as I say that, Mirko has dropped back a little bit. The gap up to 1.2 seconds now. As we swing through Campus and Stavelot. As the Dutchie gets back going again. Don't know what that pause was about, but it has just cost him about a minute or so to Daddy Cool. Oh, you see some big sparks there from the back of Lev in the Aston Martin. Is that going to give the advantage to the McLaren of Daddy Cool on the run up toward Blanchimont? Daddy Cool picking the racing line that he wants to pick, ignoring the Aston Martin almost as they swing through the left-hander. And now up toward the bus stop chicane. Is Daddy Cool close enough for a move? Not quite on this occasion, unless he comes from an absolute postcode back. Mirko much better through the final sector, close to that gap down to 0.7 of a second, half a second. So make their way up through Eau Rouge and Radion. Can Mirko make use of the slipstream this time around? Gaining down the Camel straight up toward Les Combes we go. There in the background is JK in the Porsche. This time Mirko's gets his nose in front as they hit the brakes into Les Combes. Can't quite find the gap on the way through. He's trying it though. He's trying the up and under through the Les Combes sequence. Can't quite find his way past, as now he heads downhill through Bruxelles, still staring at the back of a rival McLaren. Red Baron now beginning to drop PhoenixGray, 2.5 seconds clear of the Scotsman, 3.5 behind JK still, but has definitely nestled in and found his rhythm. There is Smalley, still that complete lap down. Have to have. As momentarily my Xbox controller dies, we're back going again. Hopefully you can all still hear me, as it's Forder who leads the way as we head toward the end of lap 6 with 15 minutes or 13.5 minutes into the hour-long race here at the circuit of Spa-Francorchamps. And it is Forder leading the way from Mirko. P2, jump P1, off the rolling start down toward Eau Rouge and Raidillon. It is Mirko with the fastest lap still, that 2:19.8 that he set at the end of lap 2. So we have a yellow flag, a car stopped at the inside. Again, it's the Dutch who stopped at the inside of Eau Rouge and Raidillon. As he now goes a lap down to the leaders. Here comes JK now as well in the Porsche 992. And then Red Baron and PhoenixGray. PhoenixGray, who has caught back up a bit to Red Baron a little bit. Mirko has just jumped back to pit lane, seemingly disconnected as well. So Forder now with complete control over the race, 9 seconds to anyone else. I'll see if I can find any reaction as to why Mirko's just stopped all of a sudden. But Ford are now 8 seconds clear of JK. Mirko still in the pits, not going anywhere. Red Baron then up to P3 after his early escapades at the Les Combes chicane. PhoenixGray 1.3 further back though, off Red Baron. So it's McLaren, Porsche, the top four, with an Aston Martin up to P5. That is Lev, who's just beginning to drop Daddy Cool a little bit. The gap back up to 3.5 seconds. It was getting closer for a while, but the gap has opened back up. Smalley's got past the Dutchy, as the Dutchy is still stopped at the inside of Eau Rouge and Raidillon. There you see the Lexus RCF pulled up to one side. Now in the pit lane you can also see Mirko in the 23 McLaren, as I believe the Dutchy gets dropped from the lobby for being stationary too long. Hopefully the same event doesn't happen to Mirko, because he was having a good race for the lead. As Forder now he doesn't have Mirko right behind him, goes a second slower on this last lap. Doesn't need to push as hard now, can coast in and find a rhythm. Can Forder. As Forder now puts a lap on Mirko. Down the hill comes JK. You hear the anger of the V8 Vantage as it heads out of La Source downhill. Lev there, P5, 3 seconds to the good of Daddy Cool in a third of the 3 remaining McLarens at the moment. I'm going to call Mirko at the moment a DNF as he'll lose the position to Smalley next time Smalley goes through the front straightaway. So there's Forder going through P1 still just 8 seconds to the good of JK. I do get the sense that Forder somewhat has backed off a little bit now. He doesn't have an angry Mirko right behind. Red Baron though definitely can't back off, has PhoenixGray just on his tail, both of whom set fastest laps. Red Baron and PhoenixGray set fastest, their personal best last time around. Forder heads through Blanchimont up toward bus stop chicane. Just found a second on JK in the last few moments. The gap going from 7 to well, very nearly 9, back down to 8.5 seconds as they hit the brakes for the bus stop chicane. JK could be on for his best lap of the race so far. Can he get himself into the 2-minute 20s as he crosses the line? Not quite. 2:21.247. PhoenixGray trying to chase down Red Baron, 8 tenths behind the McLaren driver, but going 4 tenths a lap quicker last time around. The Porsches seemingly liking the slightly cooler conditions at what is 11:30 at night. We are 19 minutes into the 1 hour of Spa. Lev still has just about 2 seconds back to Daddy Cool. There is Lev, here comes Daddy Cool. We're going to follow the closest battle on track, the battle between Red Baron and PhoenixGray, currently the closest battle on track as they head through the Les Combes chicane and now downhill toward Bruxelles. Keep an eye on Lev and Daddy Cool too, in case that one heats up for P5. But Forder now 10 seconds clear of JK. PhoenixGray chases down Red Baron into P1. Lev and Daddy Cool just getting a little bit closer there. The gap down to 7 seconds through the Les Combes, 0.7 seconds through the start of the second sector. Gap down to half a second as we go through P1. So Daddy Cool mounting a charge here on the Aston Martin. McLaren versus Aston Martin, two great British motorsporting brands, both with plenty of history at motorsports. And now they make their way through Campus and Stavelot. Both of course have teams in WEC. Aston Martin with cars in all three of the well, in both of the regular running categories of GTE, of GT3 and Hypercar, now with the Valkyrie. As here we go now, Daddy Cool shaping a move to the inside at the bus stop chicane, gets out of it on the brakes and now gets a little bit too greedy on the throttle, it looked like, through the anti-camber of the bus stop chicane, and that's going to send Daddy Cool into the pits, hopefully not for damage, but the first racing pit stop we go. And of course McLaren as well announcing in recent weeks that with their partnership with United Autosport, they're going to be targeting a hypercar entry or a prototype entry from the start of the 2028 World Endurance Championship season, which will be exciting news for the world of endurance motorsport as we follow Forder now through P1. 11.5 seconds clear with Daddy Cool heading to pit lane. That's brought an end to the battle between himself and Lev, so the closest battle on track now really is PhoenixGray trying to chase down Red Baron. The gap at 1.5 seconds, as it has been for about the last 10 minutes or so. PhoenixGray now making his way through Campus and Stavlo, 1.7 seconds behind the McLaren. These two circling at very similar times, mid to low 221s. Mirko is being told had clipped a wall. I was going to say had an issue by clipping the wall would be the most apt description, as Daddy Cool still in the pit lane. Getting that fuel and tyres service. It's about to go a lap down, but Daddy Cool gets released back into the fast lane just as he goes a lap down, so it is, well, what's the gap between Forder and Lev? It's a minute 40, so that gives us a rough estimate on just how much time you lose during a pit stop. Minute 45, 2 minutes as Red Baron and PhoenixGray make their way downhill toward Eau Rouge and Radion. Everyone but Daddy Cool has a racing pit stop to make for fuel and tyres. As PhoenixGray makes a little bit of an error, and Red Baron able to find a full second on the P4 driver. So with only 7 cars left racing, able to see all 7 cars on the proximity warning, proximity screen. Down there bottom left you can see kind of the gaps between all of the drivers, done in roughly real time, as Ford are now 12.5 seconds clear of JK. Red Baron for only 5 seconds off the back of JK, I think might be closing that gap a little bit as PhoenixGray drops off a little bit. Smalley still has to make that pit stop, but is a full lap down, I believe, on Daddy Cool still. Daddy Cool, who was racing Lev just before a slight tangle at the bus stop chicane. Forder over the start finish line. 25 minutes into the Grand Prix we are, into the 1 hour. We've lost Mirko and the Dutchie, who is being reported back to me having troubles with his wheel. But Forder now 11 seconds clear of any car behind. 50 seconds to the nearest car in front of him, has so much empty track to drive through. Red Baron now only 4 seconds off the back of JK. That gap, it really is beginning to just creep down as the gap to PhoenixGray gets a little bit bigger. JK last lap 2:21.5, the last lap for Red Baron a 2:20.9, so 6 tenths to the good there for Red Baron, and a personal best as well, and he's matching the delta this time around too. Red Baron beginning to make a couple of moves, it would seem. As Daddy Cool now only just 2 seconds in front of JK, will have to get out of the way with blue flags. As JK trying to shape up a response to Red Baron getting a little bit closer. I wonder if there's an element of the dirty air from the McLaren in front slowing him down a little bit, but the Red Baron losing some time there through. Puon drops back to that 5-second gap that we saw, and that's brought PhoenixGray back to 3.5 seconds off the tail of the Red Baron. As we approach half race distance there or thereabouts, and Red Baron and the leader Ford are diving into pit lane, so JK will inherit the lead in the Porsche 992, the first time that the McLaren car has not led the Grand Prix. Also into the pits is PhoenixGray as well, so JK going for the overcut. Have to see what Lev does as well. Lev still to make a pit stop. Was racing Daddy Cool before Daddy Cool made his pit stop, and after a little entanglement just here at the bus stop chicane, Lev carries on for another lap. As Ford trundles down the pit lane into his pit garage. See, they're right at the end of the pit lane. Red Baron and PhoenixGray just getting past the La Source entry into the GT pit lane. JK meanwhile already through Bruxelles at the far end of the track, and now heads down toward Puon with some great speed. We'll have a look and we'll see as Lev now through the Lacombe chicane heads up toward Bruxelles. We'll wait to see when Forder gets going again. It can't be too much longer, I would think, and just as I say that, gets released off the jacks and away goes Forder. Wait another 10 seconds or so and we'll should see Red Baron and PhoenixGray get going once more. As coming down the straight, that is Smalley, who won't quite be able to unlap himself to Forder.
We are halfway through, not over yet.
As we are now halfway through the Grand Prix, 30 minutes in. Red Baron slow away, it would seem. PhoenixGray quicker away. And so PhoenixGray inherits the position, so he's now up to a net P3 in the race when everyone else makes their pit stops. And JK through the bus stop chicane carries on for another lap. So Lev then in P2 in the Aston Martin. Still needs to make a pit stop. So who's left to make a pit stop? JK, Smalley and Lev all still need to make pit stops. Smalley sits last place, so won't really lose time or lose a position. JK and Lev though will. Lev will be interesting to see where he comes out in relation to Daddy Cool, who's the car in front of him on track, but Lev now into the box in the V8 Vantage. Watch where we'll watch for Daddy Cool. Daddy Cool, who is just onto the Kemmel straight, at 10 seconds behind JK, has most of the lap to make up on Lev. While Lev is in the lane, Ford though got past Smalley through the middle sector. And Ford now through Blanchimont, currently sits 85 seconds off the back of JK and going much faster. That gap time getting smaller and smaller. I don't think that 85 seconds will be enough for JK to make a pit stop. It looks like it's about 100 seconds time lost in the pit lane. A minute 40 or so, minute and a half maybe if you're quick on the outlap. As Ford there getting the back end of that McLaren to slide through La Source as Lev hits his pit box Where is Daddy Cool? Daddy Cool. My left now hits his pit box. Daddy Cool goes through Campus and now Stavalo. Still has a lot of ground to go while Lev sits stationary in the pit lane. As Ford are now just 82 seconds off the back of JK. JK, for reference, goes through the bus stop chicane and decides to carry on for another lap. As Daddy Cool makes his way through the bus stop chicane, is at the top of the hill compared to Lev, who's still sitting in his pit box. This will be close between Daddy Cool and Lev. Lev is rolling again now. Daddy Cool not even through La Source yet, so Lev will be able to, one would imagine, hold on to that P5 spot. As through goes JK to put a lap on Lev. Here comes Daddy Cool down to Eau Rouge and Radion. Lev's just exited the pit lane at the top of the sequence. Yes, Daddy Cool will have some overspeed. So there's Lev just gone past. There's Daddy Cool, the car behind. So 4.5 seconds of the gap. The overcut holding off Daddy Cool enough for Lev. Of course, that overcut started with Daddy Cool and Lev having a little bit of an entanglement down there at the bus stop chicane. Daddy Cool lost a couple of seconds and decided to bail into the box as a result. Forder now 86 seconds. JK being able to pull out a little bit of time on the driver trying to chase him down. Forder though just sets a 220 flat. JK's last lap a 2:22.3, but shaping up for a good lap so far. Could be a prospective 2:20.5 or so as JK through Campus and Stavalo. Has 83 seconds, 82.5 seconds there or thereabouts to Forder. This one could be tight off pit exit. PhoenixGray and Red Baron battle for P3, P4 is still going on. PhoenixGray is 4 seconds to the good on Red Baron after Phoenix was much better in the pit lane. As JK now heads up to the bus stop chicane, 25 minutes to go. He still has to make a racing pit stop, so too does Smalley. As Daddy Cool now just 2 seconds off the back of Lev. That's the power of the kind of the warm tyres versus those that have just come out of the pit lane. As Lev there runs wide at La Source, and now Daddy Cool is inside a second as they head downhill down the GT main straight up to Eau Rouge and Radion. They swing their way left, right, left up the hill. Little jink at the right onto the Kemmel straight. The McLaren definitely gaining on the Aston. Looks like the Aston though just about has the legs down the straights. Meanwhile Ford at 85 seconds still behind JK. JK's last lap 2:20.8. Despite them now getting on for 40 minutes old, fuel and the tyres in that car seems to be doing alright. As he heads now through Pouon up toward the Fagnes chicane. Forder though 2:19.9, not the fastest lap we've seen in the race so far, but faster by about 0.6 of a second than what JK is able to do at the moment. Forder basically is all on his own in the track. He's over a minute behind the two cars in front on track, nearly 30 seconds ahead of the cars behind him on track. Two cars in front of Forder on track at the moment are Lev and Daddy Cool, who are separated by a couple of car lengths through Stavalo as Smalley heads to the pits. for the third time in the race, for hopefully his one and only racing pit stop, as through go the Aston and the McLaren of Lev and Daddy Cool. JK meanwhile carries on for yet another lap. As Lev and Daddy Cool get the power down out of the bus stop chicane. Not great laps from either of them. 2:24.7, 2:24.5. Having to do a little bit of reverse mass here is because Smalley made the pit stop. Ford are now showing us 60 seconds up the road from JK, which is about 80 seconds behind him on track or so. JK's last lap 2:20.9. He's holding pace in the high 220s. PhoenixGray purple personal best of a 2:20.9 for him last time around, as he tries to gap Red Baron. The gap between those two about 5 seconds. Lev beginning to pull back away from Daddy Cool, the gap up, creeping up to 1.5 seconds. But this man here, Ford, the fastest car on track, as he heads into the bus stop chicane. 2:89 is the purple lap of the Grand Prix so far. Ford improves by only a few thousandths of a second on his previous lap time. Smalley still waits in the pits. Shouldn't be too much longer before Smalley gets the green light to go back out into the race. As through goes Ford, and now uphill. You see it back to how it was. Ford at 80 seconds off the back of JK. In fact, Ford losing a lot of time all of a sudden. In comparison to JK, maybe just a momentary computer issue. JK now toward the bus stop chicane. Smalley still sitting there in the pits. And JK now finally into the box with just 20 minutes to go of the Grand Prix. Smalley still sitting there in the lane. But JK in the box. Where is Forder? Forder already through Bruxelles and down toward Pouon. Surely Forder will be able to get back into the lead of the race from here. As he makes his way now through Pouon up toward the Fagnes chicane. McLaren has been so quick throughout the weekend. Definitely the best car we've seen on track. JK sits and waits and watches that gap reduce metre by metre, second by second, and Ford going even faster. There's another stop-go penalty for Smalley for speeding in the pit lane as he gets back underway after his racing pit stop. It's mandated racing pit stop. Ford are now already up toward Blanchimont. Where is JK? JK still sitting in the pits. No, JK not even made it to pit lane yet. He's just been crawling down into the box yet. Now, I believe it's a 30-second wait that you've got to serve for the tyre and fuel change, which means that he's going to come out 10 seconds maybe behind Ford, which is about right. It's about where he was. Well, he's going to get rolling about 10 seconds after Forder goes past. Forder, who is on his way downhill out of La Source, retakes the lead with 18.5 minutes to go. And JK still has to wait. Where are those behind? PhoenixGray's just gone over the start-finish line, goes into La Source about now as JK gets released from his pit stall and goes up to the pit exit of Eau Rouge and Radion. No sign of PhoenixGray. He's only just coming down the pit straight now. Still 15 seconds behind on the graphic, but he'll gain time all the way through this lap. PhoenixGray now 6 seconds clear of Red Baron. Meanwhile, PhoenixGray then about 10 seconds behind JK, who is 20 seconds behind Forder. Smalley there, it goes into the barrier at the inside of Campus and Stavelot Race. See a car going up at the inside there, but it's not been a great day for Smalley, it has to be said, in the race. Lev and Daddy Cool, these two right back close to each other once more in the battle for P5. The gap between them just 9/10 of a second as they head into La Source. And now down toward Eau Rouge and Radion. Can the 86 hold up the 720? Smalley goes round again. It waits to serve that 30-second stop-go penalty. Forder, meanwhile, track all on his own, 20 seconds ahead of JK, 30 seconds behind Smalley on track, as he has been for much of the last 20 minutes or so. Finds himself in a spot of track all alone. Just 16.5 minutes to go, lapping at 2 minutes 20 is what, 6 or 7 laps to go, depending on how hard Ford pushes the car, based off the quick maths off the top of my head. Maybe 7 or 8 laps for Ford to just like recalculate. PhoenixGray though still in front of Red Baron, the gap up to 5.5 seconds. PhoenixGray 9 seconds off the back of JK, gaining a little bit on the last lap just as JK's tyres warmed back up, or warmed up after the pit stop. Lev pulling a bit of a gap back on Daddy Cool, the gap up to 1 second now. Smalley has 2 laps before, or has this lap plus 1 more to serve that 30-second stop-go point. He's on basically out there on his own as well, 30 seconds behind, 30 seconds ahead of the cars around him. As Lev there, a full second quicker on the last lap to Daddy Cool, gap up to 2 seconds almost. JK having gone long, looking to try and cement himself into that P2 spot. PhoenixGray in the other Porsche 992 still only about 10 seconds behind. Needs to very evenly match then for pace, it would seem, as Smalley heads into the pit lane to serve his second 30-second stop-go penalty of the day. Ford will go past with now 14 minutes to go. If my maths is right, just 6 laps left, including this one. And all Ford has to do is just keep that McLaren pointing in the right direction. He's got years of time behind him, 20 seconds plus now. Meanwhile, JK and PhoenixGray being able to weasel out another 0.4 of a second last time around on JK, to 20.9 versus a 21.3. Smalley still there to serving 30 seconds stop-go penalty. A torrid day of it he has had. As Lev now comes across the line. Last lap was his personal best. This lap even faster, 2:22.1. Last lap for Daddy Cool, 23.1. So again, another second lost by Daddy Cool. Gap now to 2.6 seconds. Smalley gets released from the penalty box. It's a better lap this time around for JK compared to PhoenixGray. Gap stretching back up to 9.2. It was 8.2 at the start of this lap. As Ford are now through Blanchimont, 12 minutes to go. We'll be counting down the minutes. But of course he knows he still has to keep that car tight, keep it pointing in the right direction. He knows that there's an extra point available as he goes purple on a 2:19.3. I thought the fastest lap was a 2:18.9 set by Mirko before his retirement. As Smalley, it looks like, has another 30-second stop-go penalty. It's Red Baron now 6.5 seconds off the back of PhoenixGray and dropping by the looks of it. Daddy Cool, much better lap this time around. The gap back down to 1.4 seconds. JK across the line, 2:20. PhoenixGray 2:20.4. So the back stabilising now at 9/10 of a second. 9 seconds, I should say, sorry, between JK and PhoenixGray, as we have now just 11 minutes to go. Love to know what that second 30-second stop-go penalty is for Smalley. Did he speed again as he was released from pit lane last time around? As Lev now less than a second clear of Daddy Cool in the battle for P5. They swing through Blanchimont. These two have given us a lot of the tension, at least, throughout this race. They have been so consistently the closest together. Closest on track together. As it is another 30-second stop-go penalty to serve for Smalley. Only has 1 lap to do it, so must do it this lap, I believe, or it is a disqualification. But Ford, though, through Stavolo, 10 minutes to go now, can count them down, count the number of minutes down on his fingers. Looking for about 9 minutes 20 to be the indication of 4 laps to go. If he keeps at this 2:20 pace, 2:20 lap per pace, it looks like he'll just get over the line before that 2:20 mark, so potentially 5 laps to go unless Ford backs off about 7 or 8 seconds. He needs to drop over the next 10 minutes to keep it to 4 or 5 laps. 4, not 5 laps. JK 9 seconds clear of PhoenixGray. These two in equal machinery, both in Porsche 992 GT3Rs. Last lap for JK 2:20.4. This lap for PhoenixGray 2:20.6 as Smalley back in the pits. So too, interestingly, is Daddy Cool in McLaren. As Red Baron there dropping his McLaren out of the that was out of the bus stop chicane. Daddy Cool's just left the session. He's given up a chance on that P5 spot. But Red Baron just looping that McLaren, the number 7 McLaren, into the wall on the inside and the exit of the bus stop chicane. Thankfully doesn't lose a position from it, but definitely lost a substantial amount of time. So the gap between now Red Baron and PhoenixGray was about 6 seconds, now up to nearly 20. As Lev goes over the line with just under 8 minutes to go. Forder swings through Campus and now Stavolo. 23 seconds to the good. Has been pretty much untouchable since Mirko left the Grand Prix. And even then, Mirko didn't really look like he was ever going to be able to get past Forder in the McLaren for too long. Meanwhile, JK 11 seconds clear now of PhoenixGray. That long first stint giving him better tyres through the second half of the race, and now it is just a case of bringing the car home for JK. Looks fairly safe in that P2 spot. 7 minutes to go now. Smalley still serving that 30-second stop-go penalty. Can't be stationary for that much longer, I'd have thought. So here comes JK now down the GT pit straight toward Eau Rouge and Radion. Here the 992 roar past. Next car by will be PhoenixGray. In the other 992, the three Porsches then right next to each other on track for about 30 seconds or so. As before long, Red Baron will come down the GT pit straight. Go past Smalley, put another lap on Smalley. Ride on board on the shoulder cam of Forder going through the Fania chicane in the 720S. How good does it sound? 5.5 minutes to go. Lap time for 3 to go would be 4 minutes 40 seconds when Forder goes over the line. Has the time advantage back to JK, 23 seconds. Of course that is a consideration, and Forder though gets loose as we ride on board with him. Went high up onto the inside curve of the second part of the bus stop chicane, and now in a donut wheel, spins and turns the car off. Gets it back going again now. And that will give up the time. Now it's 4.5 minutes left on the clock, but JK goes through the bus stop chicane now. 2:33 last lap time for Forder, 2 minutes 19.4 for JK. JK is absolutely pushing the backside off that Porsche and is now just 9 seconds off Forder for the potential win of the race. If Forder were to make another mistake, a 23-second buffer zone was very handy for Forder. Had it been much smaller, he would have lost the spot to JK. As PhoenixGray then sits P3, 13 seconds now off the back of JK. I don't think PhoenixGray really had necessarily the car beneath him today to do much better. Smalley's still sitting in pit lane. I think he's just going to sit there for the finish. Lev then sits P5, 45 seconds behind Red Baron, nearly a minute in front of Forder on track in the Aston Martin. Out there on his lonesome. As Forder now through Pouon. On what is most likely to be the penultimate lap of the Belgian race, of the 1 hour of Spa. Makes his way through the Fania chicane, the gap holding though between Forder and JK at 8.5 seconds since that spin, that double spin nearly a lap ago for Forder. high drama at the back end of this race. Nothing really coming of it, however. JK now around Campus and Stavolo, 14 seconds ahead of PhoenixGray, 9 off Forder, who is coming up to the bus stop chicane. And if Forder were to do, Forder would need to set a Spa GT3 lap record, I'm fairly sure, to force us to do one more lap. So this, I believe, then is the final lap of the race. The final lap of the GT3 Season 1 season for MSC in the Clubsport division. And it's Forder in the 323 McLaren 720S GT3 Evo that leads the way up through Eau Rouge and Radion, where he took the lead on lap 1 at the start off Mirko, and ever since then hasn't really looked like giving it up. Through goes PhoenixGray in P3. JK then P2 into the Lacombe chicane. Red Baron has started his final lap in P4. In the other McLaren, there were 4 McLarens at the start of the race. We're down to 2. There were 4 720Ss at the start of the race. We're down to 2. There were 2 922s who made their way up both onto the podium position. It'll be a McLaren flanked by Porsches as we come across the line. In the one car that separates them out between the McLaren and the Porsches, this car here, Lev, in the Aston V8 Vantage, the number 86, who will start his last lap now. 40 seconds left on the clock, so the next car over the line will be this man here, will be the race leader, Forder. He's going through Campus and Stavolo, who, despite that spin on the third to last, starting the penultimate lap, hasn't looked troubled at any point. Saw off the challenge from Mirko, and then Mirko put himself in the wall. And now Forder into the bus stop chicane. Squares up the throttle, squares up the car, and crosses the line to win the 1 hour of Spa.
The leader has finished the race.
JK through the bus stop chicane now on his run to the line. Will come home P2. PhoenixGray comes up in P3. Squares the throttle away and wins the championship in the black and gold 992-91 Porsche liveried car. Red Baron makes his way now into the bus stop chicane for the final time. Squares up the throttle, brings the McLaren home in a P4. What could have been for Red Baron though. Started the race so well, was challenging for the P2 spot before getting it wrong at Lacombe on the first lap. Lev then, the last racing car out there. Has just Blanchimont and the bus stop to go. And the Aston Martin. That V8 sounds fantastic in the Belgian night air. As Lev now into the bus stop chicane for the final time to round off the season, brings it home for a well deserved P5. That brings an end to the race. And there are the final standings. 5 cars finished on the lead lap. Forder, JK, PhoenixGray, Red Baron and Lev. Daddy Cool was 4 laps down, Smalley 7 laps down. Daddy Cool did get classified. So too did Mirko and the Duchy, who finished 18 and 19 laps down respectively. But only 5 cars saw the checkered flag. And it was Forda in the number 323 720S McLaren GT3 Evo that won the day from the two Porsche drivers, JK and PhoenixGray, in the 992s. Folks, I have been Sharp. Thank you so much for watching the season finale of the GT3 Clubsport series for MSC. I hope you will join me again very, very soon. But for now, good night and goodbye.
Beyond